Post Barbie news flash. Okay, are you awake this morning? Have you got your coffee? Post Barbie news flash. Okay, being a woman is amazing. We aren't victims. We're not oppressed by the patriarchy, and women are definitely different than men. Okay, that's one thing we can uh, for sure state. Women are different than men. We're not oppressed by the patriarchy. I mean, I swear, if I had a drink for every single time these people mentioned the patriarchy in the Barbie movie, I'd be flat on my face on the floor. I mean, these people said the word patriarchy way too many times in the Barbie movie. Being a woman is amazing. We're not victims, and we complement each other, men and women. It's the most amazing, miraculous, fulfilling gift, to be the mother of your own babies. That's what my mom tells me, and feminism is trash. The Barbie movie is trash. Good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. I've been sick. I've been sick, and, thank you so much for your prayers. I was able to make it in studio today, to get you all caught up on the news because the news has been crazy. I'm here to fill you in. A big thank you to those of you who donated to Seats for Soldiers. I was out there live at the Corn Crib in North Normal for a couple of days, Thursday and Friday, getting donations from you, getting to see all of your lovely faces, meet some of you. It's really awesome to put some of the names to the texters on the text line 309-451-9299. You can text that line and interact with me, and I can interact with you not only there, but also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Today we're on Rumble, which is great. YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I so do love and appreciate you guys so much. I can't believe you guys raised almost I think we're near $20,000. Now, that text line for donating to Hope for the Warriors, the national nonprofit organization, is still up and running. That's our freaky fast Jimmy John's text line for our 6th annual Seats for Soldiers. You can continue to donate. Just text the word SEATS, SEATS, to 77,000. We raised 18,000 so far for Hope for the Warriors, but more donations are being accepted. We'll accept them still online as well, cities929.com. Thank you to McLean County Asphalt, Tax and Accounting Plus, Ace Hardware, the Four Seasons Health Club. Love you guys. Big thank you to SEFQ, Tentac Enterprises, Miller Lite, and the Wilbur Group, and so many people who were involved. Volunteers that were hanging up those flags. It was just amazing to see everybody come together in support of our veterans. And, Hope for the Warriors, I truly do believe in that nonprofit. They help veterans with PTSD counseling, and they specialize in transitioning people back from military life to civilian life. Like, that is a huge obstacle a lot of men and women, brave men and women, face when they come back from places like Afghanistan. I talked with one individual, his name was Justin, and his story just was so gut wrenching. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that we donated and raised so much money as a station, as a company, Great Plains Media, our sister station. So big thank you if you donated and if you were a part of that event in any way. Love you. Okay, let's get into it. 2021. Okay, let's go back just a couple of years ago. The Biden administration, they claimed that Hunter Biden's art career was completely legitimate because Hunter wouldn't have any idea who bought his art. So that's why they were claiming it was legitimate, that he would have no idea who actually made the purchases of his art. He has no idea who the buyers are. Like so many other claims coming out of this administration, coming from Hunter Biden's mouth, Joe Biden's mouth, like so many other claims, this was an outright lie. This was a lie. According to 3 different people who spoke to Business Insider, Hunter knew the names of the people who bought his art. One of them was a Biden donor who, around the same time, get this, was rewarded with an appointment to a prestigious federal commission. Oh, okay. Another person, according to the insider, paid a whopping $875,000 for Hunter Biden's art. Hmm. Now ask yourself this. That that the Bidens don't know who this buyer is. What's more likely? Is this likely that the Bidens don't know who this buyer is, the $875,000, and that they're just in a sincere appreciateur of Hunter Biden's artistic talent, that they just appreciate the art, and that's why they dished out $875,000 for this, or that they know exactly who this buyer is. And if we learned the identity of the buyer of this buyer, we would immediately discover that this buyer has corrupt ties them, between this buyer and the first family. The American public deserves to know exactly who is buying Hunter Biden's art, who is Hunter's big fan. Republicans should find out. That brings me to this breaking news. Speaker Kevin McCarthy, I'm sure we're going to get this either later this week. I would imagine it drops Thursday, tomorrow. The Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, says that the House is readying for impeachment for Joe Biden. Let's take a listen here to Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker. Here we go.
That they bribed the Bidens, okay? This was given to the FBI. When Bill Barr finally found out about it, he sent it to his office in Philadelphia. They actually said that this was very credible. The FBI kept this from the IRS individuals for them ever to see it. So not only do they claim that they were bribed, we now find information that 16 out of 17 payments from Romania were provided to the Biden shell companies while he was vice president. When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received a dollar from China, which we now proved is not true. We now have some of the most credible whistleblowers. These 10-year IRS agents who have come forward said that the Biden family has been treated differently, that what Weiss has told us is different than what Garland and Weiss has told the public. And you're sitting here today where now you have found millions of foreign money, just what the 1023 alleges they did to Biden's family. Now we found that it has funneled through shell companies. If you're sitting in our position today, we would know none of this if Republicans had not taken the majority. We've only followed where the information has taken us. But Hannity, this is rising to the level of...
So there you have it, folks. That was Kevin McCarthy talking about how he's working on impeachment. He says this is rising to a level of impeachment inquiry, something we haven't seen since Richard Nixon. Joe Biden used the weaponization of government to benefit his family and deny congressional oversight. We're going to get into more of that here coming up on the Morning Buzz. But first, I want to get to a few things. This Lowe's employee, this is incredible. And I know a lot of you work Lowe's, Menards, Walmart, whatever the case may be. If you work for some sort of corporate enterprise, get out of there, first of all. Second of all, find a small business and work for a small business. But this Lowe's employee, she was assaulted by shoplifters. And get this, the company fires her because she was in violation of their zero tolerance policy. Yeah, so she engages the shoplifters, tries to defend the company, and she's the one who got fired. Yes, I've got that story here coming up next. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here except Hunter Biden's lawyer ripping on a bong. He's hitting a bong while he's hanging out with Hunter Biden. There's exclusive photos. I can't believe this. Yes, I will be getting to the photos. I think they were obtained by the Daily Wire. So let's get to Hunter Biden's lawyer actually ripping on a bong while hanging out with Hunter Biden. These people are ridiculous. Next, a smug reporter attempts this gotcha question at Kevin McCarthy on moderates and gets an earful on impeaching Joe Biden instead. So this smug reporter, and I love how these reporters do it. She's like, what about the moderates? What would you say to moderates who don't want to see Joe Biden impeached? And Kevin McCarthy just rips into this reporter. It's quite beautiful. He's looking to impeach. I would imagine that either comes down today or tomorrow. I would hope. The Republicans, they've been saying, yes, impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. I hope that they're serious this time because we need to get to the bottom of things like Hunter Biden's business dealings, like Hunter Biden's paintings that have been bought for $875,000. And apparently he knows the names of his buyers, although in 2021 they claimed, oh no, it's a legitimate business because I don't know the buyers' names. And if I don't know the buyers' names, then it's all legit. All right, let's get into this. The Lowe's employee who gets assaulted, oh boy, after attempting to stop these shoplifters. She's the one who gets fired, though, over the company's zero tolerance policy. Now, her name is Donna Hansbrough, and she was assaulted by three thugs while working at Lowe's. Now, she was fired by Lowe's, and she was hanging on to the other end of a shopping cart full of merchandise while these thugs were trying to steal the shopping cart full of merchandise. So they start pushing it out of this Lowe's and they punch her in the face after she tries to stop them from stealing the shopping cart full of merchandise. Repeatedly, they punch her in the face, and Lowe's fired her over this. They fired the woman who tried to stop the shoplifters. And, this is a policy that most corporate chains have in this country. And this just proves to me that they care more about the criminals than they do you. So if you work for some sort of corporate chain, get out of there. They don't care about you. She was in tears when she was talking to the press. Oh, this is really going to tear at your heartstrings here. She loved her job. She loved her customers, and she loved the people she worked with. Lowe's, a publicly traded company where Vanguard, the Vanguard Group, is a majority shareholder. I think that that needs to be noted. They don't care. They don't care that she loved her job. They don't care that she was there for 13 years. You want to know who the second largest shareholder of Lowe's is? BlackRock. That's what these people are. Okay, let's take a listen to this. Here's this report, and this woman is giving her report on how she was attacked in this robbery. Here we go.
That
to the cart. He punched me again and again.
the now former employee says she was left with a black eye and a lost job. Lowe's company policy states employees can't intervene during a shoplifting or robbery incident, but she says she couldn't just sit and watch.
It's my fault, but I feel bad at the same time. I don't know. I'm emotionally mixed.
Two traumatic events all at once with being violently attacked and then losing her job, her happiness, her peace, all at the same time.
I love my job. Loved. I enjoyed working with the people I work with. I enjoyed helping the customers. I enjoyed everything about it. It was like, how you have your perfect job? That one was mine.
I reached out to Lowe's but haven't heard back yet. Police report says charges for people involved include theft and says.
There you have it, folks. Oh man, that's just a gut wrenching story. Donna, she had been there for 13 years, loved her job, said it was her dream job. She was punched three times in the face, causing her right eye to swell up and blacken. Police confirmed that she did not make any physical contact with the three thugs. So she didn't lay hands on them. She just laid hands on the shopping cart that she was trying to keep from leaving the store because it was full of stolen merchandise. Lowe's stated that Donna's actions, grabbing the cart, was a violation of their policy, and then Donna was terminated as a result of that. Yet another example why. While I understand the instinct here to get involved, and I'm not blaming Donna, this is a corporate chain, and it's simply not worth it. If you're defending a small, independently owned business, then I get it. Uh, that's one thing and encouraged, But time and time again, I see these companies and they have made it clear that they don't care about you. Start caring less about them. Start caring more about your small, independently owned businesses. All right, call me crazy, but if I was the lawyer to probably the most infamous drug addict on the planet, Hunter Biden, I would not be doing drugs with him at my house to be caught on camera. Yes, Hunter Biden's lawyer uh, was caught hitting a bong while hanging out with Hunter Biden at his house. Yes, have you heard this story? 309-451-9299. We'll be back. If you're watching, smash that like button on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook, on Twitter, Rumble. I'm there on all the social media platforms. We're going to be back. We've got so much to get to, including a man found dead on Obama's estate. He's been identified as Obama's personal chef. I've got that story here next. Coming up. Good morning. Hey, if you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button. I see you watching. Go ahead, smash the like button. I'm not doing like 100%. I'm so glad to be back on the live stream. I'm not doing 100%. I'm very tired. It's amazing what your body does. It like takes all your energy out to try to heal itself. And your body just, is using up all of that energy to try to heal itself. But I'm doing my best, and I am going to get through this news because there is just way too much to not get to it today, including this local story that Kevin Woodard has done some work on. And I want to make sure I get to it today, especially here on the live stream. And if you're watching, smash the like button for me. That would be of uh, that would be great if you guys could do that. I'm looking for this. Okay, so this is a Parkside junior high student, and he was suspended for fighting after he tried to get help from the office. And what's interesting here is that Unit 5 did not deny this. Okay, so I want to be clear that they didn't deny anything that happened here. They seem to be saying, yes, this happened. So let's get to the story. The Unit 5 mother claims that her son got suspended for fighting, but he allegedly went to go get help to try to prevent that fight prior to it actually happening, which is so concerning. I keep thinking my camera's over here. Um, so you have this 14-year-old kid. He was suspended for his involvement in a fight that he had tried to get help to prevent. So this is what's disturbing. Another student was attacking him, says the mother. He was kicked the entire length of one of the hallways in Parkside Junior High. According to Gonzalez, her son then went to the office to try to report that incident of being kicked in the hallway and asked for help before this fight had occurred and broken out. Now, Tara Kemp, and I am going to use names here because it's important. um, the administrative assistant referred this boy, 14-year-old, to a computer. Well, you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, this boy has been kicked down the hallway. He thinks that there's a fight. He's trying to go to the office for help. They refer him to this computer to make a summary of what had happened rather than him keeping him in the office and trying to figure out the situation. Now, I've been not in a fight, but I've broken up quite a few. I was class president, right? And this was something that happened a couple of times where I had to go and break up fights. I was just that kind of kid. I was always hanging out by the library, and I was definitely teacher's pet. Okay. I didn't have a whole lot of friends. My friend was the librarian. Uh, so, but I remember when there were fights, what they would do is separate the children right away. Right. And that didn't seem to happen here. So rather than keeping him in the office to try to figure out the situation, keeping these kids separate because God knows what will happen if this kid is coming to the office. Clearly, he's seeking help of some kind. So they referred him to a computer and then returned him to class with that same student who allegedly physically assaulted him. Um, Now, they're not denying that that didn't happen. That's one thing of importance to note. The mother said that her son did not have a computer with him. So the I think the administrative assistant, from what I'm understanding here of Gonzalez's story, the mother's story, is that they had referred the boy to write out a summary on his computer, but he didn't have a computer, so then he just went back to class. Okay, so um, did not have his computer with him at the time because he was going to PE and there was no computer for him to use in the office, so he just went straight to class. So here we have a student trying to get help from the office, clearly, right? And maybe he didn't outright ask for help. Maybe he just kind of talked about what had happened, and he seemed level headed enough to where, he was going to be able to go back to class, and they didn't feel like there was a need to keep him behind. However, there should be some sort of protocol in place. At least there was when I was growing up. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here. Um, but bottom line, the kid goes back and there's this big fight that breaks out. And this is the fight that led to him being suspended. So after the incident, Gonzalez requested to meet with administrations. She had several meetings with this Parkside Junior High principal, the vice principal, and she was not satisfied with the information that she had received. The suspension review hearing was held in May of 2023, May 31st of 2023. The story gets more interesting, and we are going to continue this. I've got to hop back on air. There's a few things that I want to run through, but this is an incredible story. We'll bring it back onto air here. Check it out on cities929.com. I'll go ahead, throw the link in the chat. If you're watching, go ahead, smash that like button. That's really helpful to us as a station. There's the link if you guys want to go read the story. I'll pick it up where I left off here for our radio friends. I'll fill our radio friends in, and we'll continue this. And yes, Ryan, I am back. I am back. Yes, sounds like missing info. Not sure why the administration would suspend a kid had he asked for help from the fight. That doesn't add up. Yeah. Well, when he went back to the gym room, I think that's where he started the fight initially. So let me come back and finish that story. Good morning. Hey, this is the morning buzz. You can buzz in at 309-451-9299. I have so much to get through. I've been off a couple of days. There's been some best ofs playing. I've been sick. So thank you so much for your prayers. They definitely worked. I'm back in studio. We have so much to get to. A few things that I want to get to. Jason Aldean, I'm telling you. He is making these progressives regret trying that in a small town because he is seeing, and this is not a mistake, folks, a 999% increase in plays with this song since this video came out. These progressives are going to regret melting down and having a shaky fist meltdown. And losing their minds over try that in a small town, this song, because what they're doing is they're just boosting this guy up to number one. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Jason Aldean, I guarantee, is going to be the next Morgan Wallen. Jason Aldean, he is making the progressives lose their bananas. They are losing their minds. And I've got the numbers here of just how great the song is doing. I mean, per Hollywood Reporter, Billboard, audio and video streams have increased 999%. 999%. That's not a mistake. That's real. That's a real number. And it went from 987,000 streams to 11.7 million streams. Now, the sales of the song have jumped 1,000 units to 228,000 units, and it's number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. This is a huge song. It's probably going to be one of America's top songs ever. Their shaky fist outrage has done nothing but make this one of the top songs in America. Try that in a small town. I love that song. We're going to get to that. Plus, did you guys hear about the 43-year-old guy who drowned while paddleboarding? it's just a weird story, and I think that maybe you guys can help me with it. And he was a personal chef to Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, and he drowned right off the coast of Martha's Vineyard here on Sunday, and he was identified as the personal chef. So I'm going to get to that story plus Matt Gaetz proposing this bill. Yes, I've done I I think it was like a 3-hour long broadcast here on one of my morning shows. I just said, "You know what? It's important." I archived it. If you guys need that, I can send it to you. It's about the 14th Amendment. And Matt Gaetz, he's proposing this bill to end birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. Get this, nearly 400,000 anchor babies were born in the US every year and automatically are born in the US every year and automatically receive citizenship. This is so anti 14th Amendment. It's not even funny. We're going to be discussing Matt Gaetz in this bill. Every Republican should be behind this. And actually, Illinois has a bit of history when it comes to this bill, well, when it comes to the 14th Amendment, therefore, this bill. And I'm excited. I'm excited. I hope that this gets passed. I don't think it's going to pass the Senate, but Matt Gaetz has got it out there at least, and at least somebody does. We are going to get to all of that, but first, I do want to talk about a local story here. It's about Unit 5 and Parkside Junior High student getting suspended for fighting after he tried to get help from the office to try to prevent that fight from happening. I was telling our streamers, our live streamers on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Rumble, you guys can see it there. Kevin Woodard, he had this story out there. It broke on July 21st, and he's been doing some reporting on this. And I just find this really interesting because when I was in school, this would not have flown. This was not the way the school responds to fights. I broke up a few fights while I was in school. I was never in a fight. I was just not that type of kid. I was the kid that was tattling on all the kids that were fighting. Right. I was the teacher's pet, and I was what do you say? The snitch, I guess. I don't know. I was always telling on people. Right? I was just one of those kids. Uh, Now, this Unit 5 mother, she's claiming that her son got suspended for fighting, but he allegedly went to go get help prior to um, this fight breaking out, actually, from it actually happening. So prior to this fight actually happening, he went and tried to get help from the office. So according to Miranda Gonzalez, her 14-year-old son was suspended for his involvement in a fight after he tried to get help in preventing it. The incident occurred at the Parkside Junior High School last May before the end of the school year. So it's towards the end of the school year. So it's kind of, tough because people just want to get out of school and they don't want justice for this kid. They don't want justice for the children involved. Okay. All of the children involved. There's some missing pieces here, but the way the school responded, this is what the story is all about. The way the school responded, they're not denying that the kid went to the office prior to this fight breaking out and telling them about this incident that happened prior to this fight breaking out. So Gonzalez says that the 14-year-old son was attacked in the hallway. The entire length of the hallway, there was a student who was kicking him. So the son went to the office, tried to ask for help before the fight had occurred. And then the mother told Cities 92.9, told us that, hey, this Tara Kemp, this administrative assistant, referred my son to a computer to make a summary of what had happened rather than keeping him in the office and trying to figure out the situation. So if there were fights that broke out in my school when I was growing up, which wasn't that long ago, I graduated from high school in 2017. I like to pretend I'm younger than I actually am. But so what would happen is you would be separated, right? And that didn't happen in this case. So he was told to sit at a computer and write a summary up about what had happened instead of holding him there. He returned to class because he didn't have a computer with him. He was on his way to PE. There was no computer there in the office for him to use to write up the summary. So he just went straight back to class. There, she said the other student would not leave her son alone. This is what the mother told us. And instead, approached her son's locker, pushing, punching him, and he had warned the student to stop, and that's what happened. That's what resulted in this kid, defending himself, pushing the other kid back, and punching him. So he punched him. A terrible situation. I hate it when kids fight, but this is a second confrontation, which is what resulted in her son being suspended. So that's what the suspension is all about. But he went to the office prior to this happening, and they should have kept him there. I don't know why. We tried to figure out why. Um, Now, the suspension review hearing was held on May 31st, 2023. And Gonzalez, the mother, she pointed out that the school policy states that staff members should be able to assist any student when they are in a situation where they feel they are being bullied. And the kicking in the hallway prior to this punching happening, I would think that that classifies as some sort of student feeling like they were bullied. He went to the office. It drove him to go to the office. Now, Gonzalez remained unsatisfied with the suspension hearing review, and she talked to the school board. Then she talked to, Kurt Richardson, who was the suspension review officer. And I like what Gonzalez says here to us. She says that's a conflict of interest and very biased for someone who's representing the district to also be defending them at the same time, when it comes to being an officer of this suspension review board, right? So clearly, like, he is representing the district because he's a Unit 5 attorney, um, but he's also supposed to be representing and being impartial for the students who are going through this suspension review hearing. So I don't know. I like how she points that out. I think it's important to note. Now, um, Richardson, he said that when a student goes to the office to express a concern, staff is happy to listen to them. Listen, not do anything, but listen to them. Sometimes administrators are not available. Richardson, the Unit 5 attorney, said that he believes Parkside uses a computer form while other schools may use other methods to document things that happen, which is great. I think that you should document things that happen. However, you should separate the students and, try to figure out a situation before sending them back to class, not allowing him to go back to class if there's an issue ongoing with the student. So Richardson said in that case, the school asks the student to share the information so that the matter can be addressed right away. Um, we try to determine if a situation is an emergency situation, if it's immediate, and if we need to address it. So apparently, I don't know if the school thought that this was some sort of emergency situation. Obviously not. They let the kid go. Um, if a school does not have any indication that the matter is something that needs to be addressed right away, in the case of administrators not being available, they will generally ask the student to report their concern to a teacher or another staff member. So Richardson, he said he wasn't able to discuss specifics because the student record information is confidential, but he did say that the district heard suggestions from Gonzalez's family to potentially provide better access for students to report their concerns. So Gonzalez is making some moves here when it comes to this computer uh, form and documenting your concerns. They said that they're going to make a handwritten form available. Um, so they're taking a suggestion really from Gonzalez's complaint here. Richardson also said that the expectation is that if possible, a student is to walk away from physical violence and contact a teacher. Richardson acknowledges that there may be situations where a student is cornered or something of that nature and is unable to walk away, may be forced to defend himself or herself. So he made note that this individual, um, this student, was able to walk away and get help, but he didn't receive the help. That's the whole point here, folks. Like, he was able to walk away, sure. And if you don't want to claim that that's kind of self defense because he was able to walk away at one point in time, um, my problem is here is that he walked away. He looked for help, didn't receive the help, went back to class, and continued this getting bullied or harassed. I don't know the whole situation. It's hard to tell with kids. However, I don't like the whole documenting it on a computer and having administrators listen to you when you bring up concerns like, "Oh, I don't know. Here's a student who's kicking me repeatedly down the hallway. Do something about it." You know what? We're just going to let you sit down at a computer and tell us how you feel. No. And then, you know what? If you don't have a computer, just go back to class. It's totally fine. No. I completely disagree with the way that that was handled. Sitting a kid down in front of a computer after being allegedly physically assaulted in the hallway, they didn't deny any of it. So I'm just shocked by this story. Parkside Junior High student suspended for fighting after he tried to get help from somebody in the office to try to prevent that fight from occurring. I thought it was an interesting story. You can check it out on cities929.com. We'll be back. Huh, that's interesting. I did not see that they rehired her due to Facebook backlash. The article didn't mention any lawsuits, but I would go after the jerk who that hit her and press criminal charges. I'm kind of shocked by that. So Donna, I had given you guys a story. I did not know that they rehired her. That must have just happened. Let's see. I'll look up that report though. They rehired her after the employee caused a lot of backlash. So her name was Donna. She's just stopped this shopping cart. The shoplifters, they tried to push out this shopping cart from a Lowe's. They were stealing merchandise. And she just wanted to stop them. She was like, you know what? I'm going to do my best to try to stop these people. They punched her in the face repeatedly. And I said, you know what? This is just corporatism, not giving a finna about you, right? They fired her because apparently that's against their zero tolerance policy. Engaging with criminals, you can't engage with them in any way, shape, or form, I guess. Although she literally just put her hands on the cart and tried to prevent them from shoplifting. She was fired for that. Now, according to our texter here, our commenter, CBS, they did a recent report. Lowe's did rehire the employee due to Facebook backlash. Wow, that's incredible. It just goes to show you things work, right? When you stand up for people who uh, are brave enough to stand up against criminals, hardened criminals like like these individuals in this Lowe's who were willing to beat up on this elderly. She was an elderly woman, and she was there at Lowe's for 13 years. When you have people like me, you willing to even go online and express your dissatisfaction with these corporate um, places who fire people for, oh, I don't know, self-defense or, stopping shoplifters, when they fire people for doing that and are pro-criminal and anti employee, when we show up and defend these people, that actually has a lot of teeth and a lot of it means a lot, right? So this woman might have actually gotten her job back, which is awesome. Should have never happened, but I would love to see those people, yes, be criminally charged for punching this woman in the face. I doubt that they're ever going to find him. Now, coming up, we are going to be talking about Hunter Biden and his lawyer hanging out and smoking out of a bong. Call me crazy, but if I'm the lawyer of America's most infamous drug addict, I'm going to do my darndest, and I would not be doing drugs with Hunter Biden while hanging out in my house. Though I suppose uh, in I suppose in Hunter Biden's lawyer's defense, his client has proven to be above the law. So, I mean, does it really matter if you're doing drugs with Hunter at your house? Because it's not like you guys are going to get caught or in trouble because he's above the law. And that clicking you're hearing, then do you hear it? the clicking, clattering of the keyboard. That's 1,000 journalismers banging away on their keyboards, creating the headlines. Republicans seize on Hunter Biden's lawyer for ripping a bong. As if we're like prudes because we're like, upset that Hunter Biden's lawyer is ripping on a bong. This just speaks to his character. It speaks to these people's characters. I would be more cautious, I guess, if I was Hunter Biden's lawyer. I would not be ripping a bong, like, in broad daylight. Uh, so Daily Mail, they obtained these exclusive photos of Hunter Biden's, lawyer, Kevin Morris, hitting a bong as Hunter came to chillax, at his lawyer's Malibu home. Yes. So this is the same lawyer who gave Hunter over $2 million to pay off his tax debts after the government his father is in charge of cut him a sweetheart deal. So he gave him 2 mil to pay off these tax debts. Um, the 2 million that was pled down after this sweetheart deal. You can't make this stuff up. So we're gonna be back here in just a sec. Call me crazy, but if I'm the lawyer of America's most infamous drug addict, Hunter Biden, I would do my darndest and I would not do drugs while Hunter Biden was hanging out in my house. If I was his lawyer, I would try to stay away from even the remote possibility of being caught on camera doing drugs. But I suppose if you're Hunter Biden's lawyer's defense, his client is proven to be above the law. So if you are hitting a bong and you're Hunter Biden's lawyer, I mean, he's got a pretty good track record here of being above the law, and you're not going to get caught. You're not going to be held to any kind of standards, right? Because we live in a two-tier justice system, and Hunter Biden gets away with everything. So if you're Hunter Biden's lawyer and you're ripping on a bong, you get away with that as well. And right now you can hear that the clickety clacketing of the journalismers. There's 1,000 journalismers right now banging away on their keyboards, trying to create some sort of narrative surrounding Hunter Biden's lawyer ripping on a bong with Hunter Biden being pictured. Daily Mail, they obtained these exclusive photos of Hunter Biden's lawyer, Kevin Morris, hitting a bong. And you can hear them, the journalismers. You can hear their keyboards clacking away. They're creating headlines like Republicans seize, Republicans pounce on Hunter Biden's lawyer for ripping a bong, right? As if we're like the big prudes here because we don't think it's fair that Hunter Biden gets to do all this cocaine and his lawyer is ripping a bong. It just speaks to what these people are like. Okay. So the Daily Mail, they've got these photos of Hunter Biden's lawyer, Kevin Morris, hitting this bong as Hunter came to chillax with his lawyer in this Malibu home of his. So this is the same lawyer. And this is why I bring this up. He gave Hunter over $2 million to pay off his tax debts here after the government his father is in charge of, Joe Biden, right? His father in charge of the DOJ. It's Biden's DOJ. They cut him a sweetheart deal. This is the same lawyer who gave him the 2 mil, over 2 mil to pay off his tax debts. Urban Dictionary, if you guys don't know, a bong, it's a device for smoking various substances, but most commonly marijuana. We don't know the substance that he was smoking out of this bong. All we know is that he was using a bong. Recreational marijuana is legal in California, where this home is at, and where he was using the bong. So no, it's not illegal. However, optics, like this looks so bad. You're the lawyer to the most infamous like drug addict, and you got Hunter Biden coming over and hanging out around drugs after the White House cocaine investigation. was, like, concluded. They, like, cut him a sweetheart deal with the cocaine investigation, and, I mean, there was an investigation that didn't even have there was cocaine found in the White House. I mean, this just looks so bad, and, um, are the Bidens held to any kind of standards? If you or I were to do this, I mean, people would be talking. If Donald Trump's son was to be doing this, Donald Trump Jr. were to be doing this, we know they would be talking. And what's funny, I guess, if that's the right word here, is that these photos of Hunter Biden's lawyer ripping into this bong happened one day, just one day after the whistleblower X testified before Congress that someone who worked on the Hunter Biden tax investigation, so this is um, somebody that was very close to that investigation, said that there were a lot of people in Joe Biden's government who didn't want anyone working on the Hunter Biden tax investigation. There have been FBI agents who have come out and said that they refused, that the FBI was not allowed to go interview Hunter Biden about his tax issues, about this tax investigation, and that they had to wait for Hunter Biden to call them to be interviewed. And this FBI whistleblower came out and he was like, "Never in my life have I waited for the criminal to call me to be interviewed about crimes that he's committed." So you can understand why the lawyer might have had to get high, because we've got this whistleblower X testifying before Congress saying that the Joe Biden government didn't want anybody working on this tax investigation into Hunter Biden. Um, so you could understand. Of course, he has to get high to deal with this. So that was on Thursday. On Friday, get this. There was an FBI source that had come forward to say that both Hunter and Joe, both of them, told the CEO of Burisma to retain the president's son at the Ukrainian energy company in this pay to play scheme. This is big news. So we've got all these people coming out, uh, whistleblowing with just mountains of evidence about these foreign business dealings, about how Joe and Hunter both of them told the CEO of Burisma that they had to, and that was then VP Joe Biden. He was using his role as vice president to get his son to stay on this Ukrainian energy company in this pay to play scheme. This is, oh, and it turns out the FBI turns out that they knew about the Hunter Biden laptop and they knew it was real the entire time. They even told Twitter before Twitter had started censoring the story about the laptop news as disinformation. They told Twitter about that laptop before Twitter deemed it as disinformation. Look, if Hunter's lawyer was hitting a bong hard on Thursday, you know, it could have been tobacco flavored, it could have been tobacco, it could have been a weird looking inhaler, maybe it wasn't a bong, who knows? But if Hunter's lawyer was hitting a bong, um, it makes you wonder, if he was hitting a bong with this tobacco, if he hadn't switched to the harder stuff after Friday's news dump. Okay, so Friday, all of these whistleblowers come out. I would be, I would probably have to switch to harder stuff if I was, I was in their shoes. Okay, Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner, just a day or so ago, testified they sold access to Joe Biden, then former vice president, over 24 times. If you are a journalismer, if you're looking to create political content and you have the opportunity to ask a question of the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, I think that's a pretty cool topic to ask about, right? They should be asking about the fact that you have Devin Archer, the former business partner of Hunter Biden, and he testified that they sold Joe Biden access to the former vice president 24 times. They sold access to him. If I was a journalismer, I'd be asking questions about that, not about moderates. And this reporter asked Kevin McCarthy this crazy question. I've got that story here coming up in just a little while. Kevin McCarthy completely just obliterating this reporter. Um, a smug reporter attempts this gotcha question on him on moderates, and she just winds up getting an earful about how they're planning to impeach Joe Biden, and I just love it. That's next on the Morning Buzz. Good morning, Pam. I so do appreciate you texting in. Where are the pics of our governor? Never see him out of context or anything on his wife or kids. They are protected. Yes. So a little thing about Teddy Pritzker. So Teddy Pritzker, during COVID, right? She was living or at least visiting Florida very often, probably because it wasn't locked down. But Teddy Pritzker, I think, like lives in Miami or frequents Miami. She goes there, drinks with her friends, and rides horses. The thing about these people that you have to remember is that they try to remove. Michael Madigan did this perfectly. Michael Madigan didn't even have a cell phone. Um, and they remove their personal lives from their political lives, and they have to, because otherwise they would be blown up, right? Their personal lives would be blown up. I'll be back. Hold on one sec. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Coming up in just a little bit, this smug reporter, she attempts this gotcha question at Kevin McCarthy on moderates, right? And instead of, getting her answer that she wanted, Kevin McCarthy, he just gives her an earful on what they're going to be doing as far as impeaching Joe Biden. I think that's going to be happening in the next couple of days. I hope so. We're going to get to this smug reporter, this journalismer, here next on the Morning Buzz. But also, I want to talk about the 43-year-old man who drowned while paddleboarding. Now, he was a pretty decent swimmer, according to some social media posts. I don't know. It's just all very strange. He was paddleboarding off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. He was identified as the personal chef to Barack and Michelle Obama. Also, a little bit later, we're going to be talking about Matt Gaetz. He proposes this bill to end birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. Um, awesome bill. Look, nearly 400,000. Just think about that number. Anchor babies are born in the United States every year to automatically receive citizenship. That's 400,000 anchor babies. We're going to be back. I'm going to talk about that. Plus, Jason Aldean, his song is skyrocketing, folks. Yeah, it's all very suspicious and strange. I mean, a 43-year-old man who, was athletic. There's social media footage of him, not only swimming, but swimming at, like, this, collegiate level pool. I mean, he looked like he was a very good swimmer. He also apparently was out there without a life preserver on, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and he was on a paddleboard. I don't know how you drown when you have a paddleboard with you. Just a lot of questions. It reminds me of something that happened to Joan Rivers in 2014. She died due to some complications. It was a routine medical procedure, I guess, and she died a couple of weeks after. She said, and I'm quoting her here, that we've already got a gay president, that Michelle Obama is transgender, and Michelle is actually a man, and that Barack Obama is gay. This is what Joan Rivers had said back in 2014, and she wound up dead just 2 weeks after saying that. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, just timeline, okay? I'm not saying, but I am saying, and I'm stating timelines. Um, it's gonna be interesting. I love how we didn't hear very much more about, the hammer incident with Nancy Pelosi and her husband. Um, I I think it's interesting that this happened with this young man, Tafari Campbell is his name. He's the personal chef of Barack Obama, or was the personal chef, and he was found dead. So just very interesting. Interesting. Apparently it's a liability issue. Shoplifter may have a gun. Lowe's rather surrender the merchandise. Yeah, I I get that, and I get these corporate people, this corporate company, right? But you know, to sit there and try to, I mean, the self defense, you have a right as a human to engage somebody or to defend yourself. And, obviously she feels like she's being threatened in some sort of way with these shoplifters. And in a way, she is indirectly, right? If the company loses money, she could lose money. She feels obligated, especially after being there for 13 years. I'm talking about this Lowe's employee who's fired after she engaged some shoplifters. Uh, the corporate world cannot take away your humanism and you being a human. That's what they were trying to do there with this firing of her. Now, apparently, according to the CBS News report, I'm glad that you dug this up for me, man. Um, they rehired her due to Facebook backlash. I'd have to look into the article, but there's been several. I think there was a Circle K woman who, um, there were some shoplifters who went behind the counter. She shoved them. You, in your humanness and in your, if you don't want to be a victim of a crime, you don't have to be a victim of a crime. Okay. And this woman thought that she was going to be a victim of a crime, i.e., somebody stealing from her place of business and stealing property, right? And that's what's going on in her mindset. That's why she went to go stop this shoplifter. And you have the right to do that as a human. And I don't think it's fair of the corporate companies to mandate, really, and to um, make it to where you have to surrender um, merchandise, or you have to surrender your life, or you have to surrender a part of your dignity to these shoplifters, to criminals. I just don't think that that's right. I know it's a liability issue, and I get that, and that's why the point of that story is just get out of those places. They don't care about you. They don't see you as a human. They see you as some sort of cog in the system. They'll lie. They'll say this is a family. We're a family. It's not right, and they're gonna sit there and lie to you and say that they care about you, but they don't. Right. And I would just suggest that you get out of places like that, work for a small business owner, and bring small businesses back. I'd love to see there be some sort of revitalization in our smaller communities. Um, I know that they might not pay as much. I don't know. But um, yeah, it was a sad story to hear about Donna getting punched in the face and then being fired, but then being rehired. I don't know if I would want to go back and work for that company. I hope she doesn't take the job. Speaking of which, let's talk about criminals, leftists. It's all interchangeable at this point. So the "Try It in a Small Town" song definitely has caused these leftists, they're dry heaving, they're gasping for water, they need water. They're all upset about Jason Aldean's new song. And look, I think Jason Aldean, he owes a lot of these guys a muffin basket, okay? Some sort of muffin basket, some flowers, I don't know. Their shaky fist outrage has done nothing but make this song number 1 for Jason Aldean. And, look, I I love sitting down at the end of my workday on a Friday with a, healthy glass of whiskey, listening to some country music. And I've heard about Jason Aldean's song for quite some time now. I heard it back in May. I think I played it here for you guys on the program months ago. Um, but I'm not shocked that this has caused this kind of outrage. And I'm not shocked that it has soared to like number 1, number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. And I mean, it is being seen by millions of people. And what they're doing here, these shaky fist leftists, they're just making the song more popular. So if you ask me, Jason Aldean should just give them a muffin basket. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I'm back at it, folks. I took a couple of days. I was sick. Thank you for your prayers. I really needed them. And I'm back at it. I'm back in studio. And folks, last time I was doing the show, I was actually out at the corn crib. So I haven't been in studio for quite some time. I was sick right after Seats for Soldiers, but I so do appreciate you guys coming out to see the show live from the corn crib. That's always a blast. We do it every year, 6th annual Seats for Soldiers. You can still donate by going to cities929.com or texting the word SEATS, SEATS, to 77,000. Big thank you to McLean County Asphalt, Tax and Accounting Plus, Ace Hardware, Four Seasons Health Club, also SEFQ, 10 Tech Enterprises, Miller Lite, and the Wilbur Group. We wrapped up 6th annual Seats for Soldiers. I think we're near like 20,000. I think it's like 18,000 so far. So we need your help. You can continue to donate at cities929.com. I'd love to see that number get to 20,000 on the dot. It was an amazing event. Thank you to those of you who donated and helped hang up flags for the nonprofit charity Hope for the Warriors. We were raising money for them so that they could do the good work here in Central Illinois, like providing PTSD counseling. They transition people from military life back to civilian life. And that's a huge obstacle that a lot of people enlisted, deployed, returning, and it doesn't matter, right? They help everybody, enlisted to deployed, um, veterans, right? They help everybody. And that's something that they really it's an obstacle they face, is transitioning back to civilian life. And Hope for Warriors, they work with veterans here, right here in the community. So you can donate cities929.com. Before we took the break, we were talking a little bit about this smug reporter. So she thought that she had some sort of gotcha journalism question. And, I love it because Kevin McCarthy was not having it. Devin Archer, who was Hunter Biden's former business partner, just a couple of days ago testified that they sold access to then former Vice President Joe Biden, over 24 times. They sold access to him. And if you're a journalismer looking to create some sort of political content and you have the opportunity to ask a question of the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, it seems like a topic like, oh, I don't know, you would bring up. And this seems like a decent topic. Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner, testifying before Congress. Instead, this reporter asked Kevin McCarthy about these alleged moderates in his party who don't want him to do anything about it. They don't want an impeachment. So Kevin McCarthy was not amused. She says, what do you say to moderates who don't want to see impeachment, who don't want to see that? So Kevin McCarthy, I find his answer very amusing. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
And appease the right wing on many issues, including
Such as what?
on talking about an impeachment inquiry of President Biden, on appropriations, on a long list of things.
Well, I don't know, because you haven't quoted anybody. You just say something. You frame some brand of something. But let me answer your question. It's very forceful and truthful in this. I have nothing to do about who in the party. This is about America. And I raise to you. I watch you on TV. You write every day about covering government. So right now you have a president who told you and every other American that he's never talked to his family about business and they never got $1 from China. You now know that's not true. You have a president, while he was vice president, that got 16 out of 17 payments from Romania while he was president. You now had never known that before he was elected, but you now have a document that the FBI had that didn't further to investigate, even though the Justice Department said there was merit, that said they were bribed and told they had to run through shell companies, which you never knew about, but now you know there are shell companies. And what they made this claim to be, you find that the form of which to pay them is actually what came through. You now have IRS whistleblowers who are not Republican, philosophically, who now say they were denied the ability to do their job, And in trying to do their job in the investigation of the Biden family, they were denied the 1023. Even in meetings where David Weiss has said one thing to them and different to the American public, different than the Attorney General had promised the American public, he said that they should be prosecuted. But now we have found out that the department actually called the Biden family attorneys, told them ahead of time where documents were, treated other people in politics differently, even went to the inaugural committee. Why would they give a heads up to the inaugural committee? Why would they be denied the ability to go forward? They believe the investigation was hampered using political purposes to treat them differently. Now, as an elected official, having all this information, should I ignore it? No.
No. And this just in, he's looking to impeach. I would love to see him impeached today, tomorrow, by the end of the week. I don't know. We'll see. Now, one of these days, these journalismers are going to be asked, what people are you talking about? Okay, so she asks him the question, well, what do you say to moderates in your party who don't want you to do anything about this and who don't want you to go through on impeachment because they just want to bring the country together? Ugh. What people are you talking about? As soon as one of these days, somebody's going to say, what people? What people are you talking about? Their heads will explode. I'm telling you, these journalismers, their tiny, tiny little brains will just go. Speaker McCarthy came close. He was pointing out how she gave him no examples of what people she was talking about. Who doesn't want to see Joe Biden impeached for these things? And then it gave him the opportunity to discuss why he'd be impeaching Joe Biden. And of course, he's happy to oblige. She brought up impeachment, so he's going to dig into why they are impeaching him. And he says, you have a president who told you and every other American that he's never talked to his family about businesses or about business, and they never got a dollar from China. You now know that that's not true. He talked to his family. In fact, I think he talked to the business people directly. There's reports that he talked to both the CEO, that Joe Biden and Hunter both talked to the CEO. They told the CEO of Burisma to retain Hunter Biden, the president's son, on this Ukrainian energy company. And then he goes on. He says, we now know that that's not true, that he talked with his family about the business and that they received money from China. If you have a president, while he was vice president, that got 16 out of 17 payments from Romania, Congress has a responsibility for investigation, for the investigation wing. You got to get to the bottom of the truth. And the only way Congress can do that is through an impeachment inquiry that gives Republicans and Democrats the ability to get all of the information. So there's payments, there's briberies, there's all kinds of things, folks. And he just wants to get to the bottom of it. There are a lot of truths to get to the bottom to. Like the confidential FBI source stepping forward saying that Joe and Hunter Biden both told the CEO of Burisma to retain the president's son, and a whistleblower who actually worked on the Hunter Biden tax investigation, who came forward and said, you know what, there were a lot of people in Joe Biden's government who didn't want anybody working this Hunter Biden tax investigation. And in fact, they told us to stay outside when we were going to go interview Hunter Biden about his alleged crimes. And they said, no, don't go interview him. In fact, wait for a phone call from the criminal to do an interview with him. Then you're going to wait for Hunter to call you. Never has that ever happened, like in FBI history, where you wait for the criminal to call you. An impeachment inquiry this is an outstanding way to get to the bottom of it all. And Democrats, look, y'all set the gold standard here with impeaching the former president. It would be unpatriotic if the Republican-led Congress didn't meet their constitutionally elected duties exactly how the Democrats did before them. And the first journalism or Democrat leftist who says, but the Senate will never convict, y'all are going to get punched right in the face. Okay, shut up, because these are the new rules that the left created and the media all set. It's time to play by them. The Democrats set the gold standard with impeaching this former president, Donald Trump. I think that the Republican led Congress has a constitutionally elected duty to do exactly what the Democrats did before them and get to the bottom of whatever is going on with Hunter and Joe, especially when it comes to them both talking to the CEO of Burisma to retain the president's son to this Ukrainian energy company. All right, now I do want to talk about a couple of things before I take the break. A 43-year-old man drowned while paddleboarding off of the Edgardtown coast of Martha's Vineyard. Now, who is this man? Well, he was identified as the personal chef to Barack and Michelle Obama. Also, I'm going to be talking about Jason Aldean and how he has made the progressives regret trying that in a small town. Okay. Uh, his song has been getting an increase in plays. I'm looking at this number. I can't believe it. 999% increase in plays since this video started and since the outrages uh, started. Now we have the numbers and just how well this song is doing. So, I like to sit down Friday night, listen to the new music, country songs. I'm a big country fan. I like country. On this program months ago, I played Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town. This song definitely has caused leftists to dry heave. They've been gasping for water for the past week because Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town just is making their heads explode. Jason Aldean, I think what he needs to do is he needs to create some muffin baskets and give them to the leftists because really what's going on, their shaky fist outrage over the song has done nothing but make it number one. I mean, it's one of the top songs in America right now. And I love how this gun control Karen did get her way and she got it canceled from the NTV, the MTV owned New York City based CMT, the country music TV. Good for you, Miss Gun Control Karen. Her name was Shannon Watts. She took to Twitter and she said, proud to have had a hand in getting CMT to reject this racist and violent song. That's what she tweeted out. Good for you, Skippy. Good for you. As for Aldean and his Middle America anthem, per the Hollywood Reporter and Billboard, audio and video streams have increased 999%. It went from 980,000 streams to 11.7 million streams. Sales of the song have jumped from 1,000 units to 228,000 units, and it's number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Look, I mean, this is just an amazing song. And, Jason Aldean, he thanked his supporters over the weekend and he said, one thing I saw this week was a bunch of country music fans that could see through all of this crap. I saw country music fans rally like I had never seen before, and it was pretty awesome to watch. I gotta say, thank you guys so much. That's what Jason Aldean said with more colorful language than I will use on the radio. But it's almost as if the vast majority of America is rejecting the hall monitors. Okay. They're rejecting it. They're rejecting the people who control the media and who decide what content you enjoy. It's either that or the silent majority is just getting more and more vocal. If anything, the outrage just proves the point of the song. The people who live on the coast and in these progressive run cities are out of touch with how anyone outside of those cities thinks or lives their lives. People who live in these cities, they enjoy chaos. They enjoy crime. They love it. They must. They keep electing the same Democrats whose policies encourage that chaos. 309-451-9299. Now I'm going to play this song out. Try That in a Small Town. In case you haven't heard it, I'm sure you have. If you haven't, then you're a rock. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Somebody on the sidewalk, carjacking old lady at a red light. Pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own. You cross.
Good morning. How are you? Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. We need to get to the bottom. I like this, Brenda. She says there is no bottom. Yeah, there. It seems like there is no bottom to what what Joe Biden, and Hunter Biden have done in regards to their foreign business dealings. It's so convoluted. I can't even understand what's going on anymore. I try, and then there's just more and more and more and more that come out, and you think to yourself, okay, I've got an understanding of what's going on here. Bottom line, these people are bad people. They're bad. They're evil people, and they're willing to sell out the American people to line their own pockets. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Impeachment is a start. He needs to be fully prosecuted and sent to prison. No one is above the law, right? All of you leftist loons, I'm talking to you, Jeff, Danny, Regina, Freddie the Fry Cook. Yeah, exactly. No one is above the law. You're so right, Jacqueline. But unfortunately, I think these people are above the law. We're living in two-tiered justice system. Hunter Biden has already gotten away with his tax crimes. He's already gotten away with his coke crimes, with his gun crimes. He's already gotten away with all of it. And he's going to continue to get away with it. I mean, they are so blatantly sure that they will not get caught and that they don't care. Um, they're so believing that they're going to get away with all of it. You've got the Hunter Biden lawyer smoking up a fat bong with Hunter at his house in broad daylight, where journalists, I mean, you're the Hunter Biden lawyer, right? You have to be like understanding that there's going to be journalists out there who are going to be taking pictures of you, right? Especially amidst all this scandal and the news dropping, right? That there's this whistleblower X who has come out, has told people that, yes, both Joe Biden and Hunter Biden told the CEO of Burisma that you need to retain Hunter Biden. So, I mean, he used his position as the vice president to bully the CEO of Burisma, keeping Hunter Biden on this board for this Ukrainian energy company. So, yeah, it's just a mess. It's all a mess, and I can't believe what's going on. Where we have the lawyer so so bold, and he's just willing to smoke one up with Hunter right outside his house on the porch, right? I mean, there's exclusive photos caught by Daily Mail that show Hunter Biden's lawyer smoking up with Hunter, smoking up some marijuana, and I get that it's legal, whatever, but like optics, right? Anyway, so we're gonna be talking about that probably a little bit more later. I do want to get to Tafari Campbell. He was a White House chef before coming on as the personal employee of the Obamas after Barack Obama left office in 2017. Now, these divers recovered his body. Tafari Campbell, he was a personal chef to Barack Obama. And now I want to talk about this just because there's a lot of questions out there and not a whole lot of answers. I think that it's of great concern that we have this fellow who seemed to be a great swimmer. He looked very athletic, posted social media videos of him swimming in almost like a collegiate style pool, like an Olympic style pool. Seemed to be a uh, very talented swimmer. If you ask me, he seemed to be pretty decent. He went out there without a life jacket. He had a paddleboard. Don't know how he drowned. I have no idea. If you have a paddleboard, why didn't you just use the paddleboard to stay afloat? I don't know. I don't know. There's probably going to be a lot that comes out about this story, um, but it raises a lot of questions, raised my eyebrows to see the personal chef of Obama just die suddenly. Was a healthy young man, right? So we're going to talk about that. Plus, Matt Gaetz, he has this awesome bill out there. Um, he proposed this bill to end birthright citizenship for the 400,000 children of illegals born in the United States of every year. Open border radicals will cry racism and say that this is unconstitutional. It's both perfectly legal and it would simply keep America in step with the rest of the Western world. And it is constitutional. The 14th Amendment does not say what you think it does. Um, and people have gotten this wrong. Good morning. This is the Morning Buzz, and I'm back. Yes, I was out sick for a couple of days. Thanks so much for all of your prayers and thoughts. I appreciate it. I am back at it. I was out at the corn crib Thursday and Friday doing the show live there. It was great to see all your smiling faces, and it was nice to see how many people showed up for our veterans here in Central Illinois through our sixth annual Seats for Soldiers event, where we support local veterans through Hope for the Warriors, which is a national nonprofit, and they help out Central Illinois veterans from all branches of the military, from enlisted to deployed. They help with things like PTSD, counseling, and then medical equipment. Big thank you to McLean County Asphalt, Tax and Accounting Plus, Ace Hardware, Four Seasons Health Club, SEFQ, Tech Enterprises, Miller Lite, and the Wilbur Group. We love you guys. And we love that you guys came out to donate. You can still donate at cities929.com, or you can text the Jimmy John text line. Text the word seats, SEATS, to 77,000. You can still donate if you'd like. Now, before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Jason Aldean's song. Like I said, his sales of the song have jumped 1,000 units to 228,000 units. The song is huge. 11 million streams already. It went from 980,000 streams to 11 million. It's number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. And look, folks, these shaky fist outrage leftists, their outrage has absolutely done nothing for them but make this one of the top songs in America. And I love it. Try that in a small town. Jason Aldean. I also wanted to get to this story before we get to Scott Robbins for Scott's Takes here coming up in just a bit. He hasn't been with me in a while. He's been on vacation. But we'll be back at it here at about 7:35. I wanted to tell you about this 43-year-old dude who drowned paddleboarding. And something just doesn't add up to me. And maybe you guys can help me. Text in on the text line 309-451-9299, 309-451-9299. And then you can also comment on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble. I'm everywhere. You guys can see the stream live on social media. Now, his name is Tafari Campbell. Now, he was a White House chef before coming on as a personal chef because, the elitists, they need their personal chefs because, oh my gosh, what would they do without them? They can't cook for themselves. Yes. Okay, so 2017, the Obamas, they hired on this guy. His name was Tafari Campbell. Now, divers recovered Tafari and his body before 10 a.m. at this pond, right on the coast here of Martha's Vineyard. And Obama has his family $1 million mansion. It's $12 million mansion. That's where it lies. It lies right there on the Great Pond. Now, in the past, Campbell wrote the words hashtag still can't swim. So he wrote some sort of post on Instagram indicating that he can't swim. But get this, and I don't know if that was sarcasm in the post or what, but there's several social media posts, and there was a social media post that specifically shows this chef, this personal chef of Obama's, swimming very well. He's like in this collegiate style pool, like an Olympic pool, and he's doing backstrokes. He's doing all kinds of funky things in the pool. But this is just bizarre. He was visiting from Virginia. He lived in Virginia, and he was visiting Martha's Vineyard at the time of his passing. President and Mrs. Obama were not present here at the residence at their residence at the time of the accident. So, in a statement, the Obamas praised Campbell, saying Tafari was a beloved part of our family. When we first met him, he was a talented sous chef at the White House, creative, passionate about food, and his ability to bring people together. In the years that followed, we got to know him. He was warm, fun, extraordinarily kind person, and he made our lives a little bit brighter. That's why when we were getting ready to leave the White House, we asked Tafari to stay on with us, and he generously agreed. And he's been a part of our lives ever since. And our heart is broken. Our hearts are broken that he's gone. So this is a multi-million dollar vacation estate, Martha's Vineyard. There was a massive emergency response team that came out there, and they said that there was a man who was dressed in black and had no life preserver out there. This is according to the first responders. So apparently he went out there without a life preserver, but he had a paddleboard. He was paddleboarding off of the coast. He seemed to be struggling. There was another paddleboarder who had been seen with the guy, with the male. At the time he saw him go under the water. So I don't know. This is just a fishy story. I'm sure there's going to be more that comes out about this. I hope there is. The recovery was made 100 feet from the shore, where water was around 8 feet in depth. So, yeah, just a bizarre story, and it kind of reminded me of this Joan Rivers clip from years ago. 2014 is when Joan Rivers died, if you remember, and um, she died from complications from a medical procedure. It was a routine medical procedure. It wasn't anything big, but she died a couple of weeks after she said this. And I'm going to share this with you. So she said this, and she dies a couple of weeks afterwards. Here we go.
First, the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh. First, the United States will see the first.
Oh my gosh. So there's Joan Rivers, folks, and she died a couple of weeks after that clip was taken, that interview, and she was asked about, the first gay president, if she thought that we were going to have a gay president or a female president, and then she said, we already have one. That's the Obamas. Barack Obama is married to a man, and she accused Michelle of being a man. Now, I want to remind everyone, from all fact checking done by the PolitiFact and others, okay, we know that Michelle Obama is not a transgender. I want to remind everyone, the fact checkers say that Michelle is not transgender. And I was just reminded of this Joan Rivers clip. I don't know why it popped into my head, but as soon as I heard this story about the chef, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Joan Rivers came to my mind. So just sharing that with you. Just all facts. Okay, folks, here on the Morning Buzz. We do have to take a break, but we're going to be back here with Scott Robbins for Scott's Takes. A little bit later in the show, we will be getting to Matt Gaetz, his proposed bill to end birthright citizenship for 400,000 children of illegals born here in the United States every year. Look, these open border radicals, they're going to be screaming, racism! This is unconstitutional. How could Matt Gaetz do this? No. It's perfectly legal. And, look, this would simply keep America in step with the rest of the Western world. We're the only, no country in Western Europe offers birthright citizenship without exceptions like the United States. No other country. We're going to get to that here coming up in just a bit. Scott Robbins joins me next. It's so hot, 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 hot outside, and it's all Scott Robbins' fault for it being this hot
Hey.
outside. It's Scott Robbins, Scott's Takes. He's back from vacation, and I'm back from my little hiatus too.
Yeah, I was going to say, first things first, how are you feeling?
I'm
Are you
feeling
better?
great. Yes, I'm back
Yeah.
from the dead.
That's
Back from
good.
the dead, I know. It was
Golly.
terrible. And it's like I haven't been in studio in so long, and when you're away from the studio, it's like you're away from home. I don't know. That's just like when I'm away from the studio, I feel like I something's missing, and I get back today, and I'm like, I miss the studio because I haven't been
Yeah.
in studio since Seats for Soldiers, which you and I
Yeah.
were both out at. And
Yeah, you were out there a long time.
I was doing the broadcast
Mhm.
from Thursday
Yeah.
to Friday, both days
Yeah.
out there, and I haven't been here, so it's nice
Yeah,
to
and
see.
when you told me you were
everything.
ill, I'm like, holy cow, you must really be ill because you're not going in. So, because I know you have to be really, really ill not to come into work.
Yeah, like scratchy throat, things like that.
Right.
I can push
Yeah,
through,
you
but
can. She gets through that. Yeah, but you didn't soldier through this one. So, hopefully, I mean, I was with you Friday night.
I was worried. I was like,
We all
oh,
had
boy.
dinner together, and I'm thinking to myself, geez, I mean, I gave you a hug when I left. I thought, well, if I'm going to get it, I guess I'm going to get it. But nobody in my posse got anything, so I guess it was whatever you had was contained to just you.
No. I don't know.
Unfortunately for you, but for the rest of us, oof, a little sigh of relief there. Yeah, we didn't get what you had.
I know.
but,
Nobody in
see,
my family got it. I saw people over the weekend. Nobody has
Yeah.
gotten what I got. So
Yeah.
no,
Well,
just-
I was following along on your show page, your health updates and people wishing you well and all that. Of course, you had your usual Dorcas way in too, but
I saw you.
God.
You came to my defense. I was like, oh, Scott,
Well,
Scott
just
really was bothered by that one.
Well, the mediocre people in your world just have to weigh in on something,
Yeah.
because they live in a world where no one pays attention to them. That's
Yes.
part of the problem. They live in because they're just horrible people. And they live in a world where no one pays attention to them. The only way anybody pays attention to them is if they do hit and run nonsense on social media, which is
Like
what they do.
Hillary.
Like Hillary. Yeah, who did the same thing. So, yeah, well, nice save there. We went all the way around. But Hillary Clinton, and every once in a while she pops her head out of the wormhole and decides she's going to add to our discourse, whatever it is.
Look at me. I'm important.
Yeah, and because you'll go months without hearing anything from her, which are sweet. But she's got to keep herself in the news cycle somehow, and usually making ridiculous statements is one of them. Well, she did it again. Hillary Clinton knows exactly who's to blame for this heat wave. MAGA Republicans. This is what you voted for. So if you voted other than someone Hillary Clinton wanted you to vote for, you're responsible for the current heat wave. She reminds us again how absolutely spiteful and absolutely unlikable person that she is. She is the most spiteful, unlikable person on the planet. She really is. And this just goes to show you. So anyway,
I
it's your
told my
fault.
mom about that, and she was like, "Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? It's
No.
July. It's hot.
Right,
It's
right.
the way it goes. Every
Right.
year, there's this conversation of, record heat, blah blah blah, and it's like it's July. It's July, and it's always been hot in July.
Well,
I don't
they just
understand.
they love to scare people, and that I guess I've said before. This is the new COVID. What we're going through right now is the new COVID. Global warming has become the new COVID.
Mhm.
If you're going to go outside, you're going to die. There you go. Simply put, two things that are happening also today. Hunter Biden's going to stand in front of a judge today. Whether he'll accept his plea deal or not is anybody's guess, but he might not.
What's this
You
one
know,
for? Tax?
Well, this is
problems or
Well, he didn't pay his taxes from 17 to 18. It slipped his mind, Kat. He just slipped his mind. He just totally forgot. I got what? I didn't file in 2017 or 18. Really? Golly. For over $100,000 too, by the way, for well over $100,000. So two things we know about Joe: gun control. He's a big fan of gun control. Joe loves gun control. His son is going to be coming up on gun charges as well. He obtained a firearm illegally because he was a crackhead and didn't disclose that. And of course, Joe's also big on the wealthy paying their fair share of taxes. And he also says that Hunter's the smartest guy he knows. So there's three things going on today. Well, again, how is this going to wind up? I don't know. Joe Biden also struggling yesterday, our president, with the number of deaths from COVID, Kat.
Oh.
Now we know that there were deaths related to COVID. We do know this. Of course we do. Nobody denies that. But Joe said yesterday, well, let's play the original, his assessment of how many people have died of COVID, okay? Then we'll play the one from yesterday. Here we go.
Unnecessarily, now we have over 120 million dead from COVID.
120 million dead because of COVID. That's what he said. Now let's fast forward a little bit. How many people died from COVID, Joe? What was that again? What was that number?
We're still feeling the profound loss of the pandemic, as I mentioned, of over 100 people dead.
100 people. A hell of a lot less than 129 million, Kat.
I would say so. Let me. Yeah, I got my calculator. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Way less.
Yeah. So it was either 129 million people died from COVID, or it was 100.
Which is it? I
have no idea. Will there be a correction on that? I don't know. But the guy's fit as a fiddle. I mean, he runs circles around people younger than him. There's no reason to worry about the mental stability of this president. None whatsoever. Every single day. Every single day. I think at the end of the year, versus like some of the news countdowns, we should just go through the gaffes. Yes. The top 25 Joe Biden gaffes from the year before. It won't be hard to assemble this. It's everywhere.
My favorite one. Duper pressure.
Duper pressure. That's one of my favorites too.
Duper pressure.
And that absolutely should be a t-shirt. It really should.
Yes.
Should absolutely be a t-shirt.
The classic falling off of his bicycle. That's a great one.
That's one of the better ones. Trying to pronounce Ketanji Brown's name. Remember that one?
That's a good one.
Well, you know her. You've seen her, right?
And who
that
can
was it.
Forget hairy legs. I've got hairy legs.
Got that one. He doesn't know who what the Joint Chiefs of Staff is all about. He has no clue. These are all things that we have categorized, and we should put them together. I think a year-end countdown, and we should count them down like Casey, like go from 25 to 1.
Yes.
With a little story, a little vignette attached to at least every third one that we do. Right? I think that would be.
Let's do it.
That would be very, very good.
These people are not serious. Hunter Biden's lawyer, he's hitting up a bong right outside his porch there.
Did you? Yeah, I saw that. There's
Coke
a couple
in
of
the
things.
White House.
These are things I don't want addled. All right. You deal with a lot of people who are addled in your life, and sometimes you know it, sometimes you don't, right? They're either drug-induced, addled. Is the guy operating on me? I want him to make sure that he's clean, and the guy defending me in court. And I'm a simple man. These are two things, though, that I really want. I don't want a guy smoking a bong on the patio of his house before we start talking about my strategy for how I'm going to win a court case. Yeah, I don't want that.
They just know they'll never get caught, Scott. That's why they're so bold about their
bulletproof,
choices.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to find out. I mean, whether the judge accepts the plea deal, I will be surprised if the judge doesn't accept the plea deal, but it's possible that he says, no, we're not going to accept this plea deal. This is ridiculous. You don't get a slap on the wrist for this. And you forgot to pay your taxes? It just slipped your mind? Golly.
Well, if you're that high on cocaine, I could see where it's probably very easy.
I was in the hospital. True story. I was in the hospital in a coma, didn't pay my taxes 1 year because of that. Do you know what happened to me, Kat?
Oh boy.
I was ordered to pay it all back with interest.
Yeah.
I'll be paying this back for probably the next 10 years. Unbelievable.
I know, just this past year. I mean, how many years ago did that happen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just this past year, you finally saw.
I got like a $67 return, which went to the balance I already owed the federal government. So, yeah.
Rules for thee?
Yeah, right.
Not for me.
My dad could put sentences together. Maybe that was the problem. Right?
Boom, roasted.
All right. Talk to you later. See you. Have a good day.
Scott.
All right. Feel better.
All right, folks, we're going to be back. That's Scott Robbins for Scott's Takes. Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. If you guys want a good laugh, be sure to tune in tonight. Cities 92.9 at 8 o'clock. We'll be back talking about Matt Gaetz. He's got this bill out there, and I'm really all for it. It's about birthright citizenship And these open border radicals, I can just hear them crying racism and how this is unconstitutional. It's both perfectly legal, and it would simply keep America in step with the rest of the Western world. I'm excited about the bill. It's next here on the Morning Buzz. Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you guys are watching, go ahead, smash that like button. I would so do appreciate it. Yes, I have heard of that before, a large sum of money. I've told people that if they can produce a picture of Michelle Obama pregnant, then I would 100% start voting Democrat. I would start voting Democrat. I would dedicate my life to Democrat policies. I would continue to vote Democrat. Um, if somebody can produce a photo of Michelle pregnant, yes, Jupiter, Jupiter pressure. I just love seeing this spelled out that way. Kat, you feeling better? My cold finally went away. Give it 3 days. Yeah, so I had a bug. I had a big bug. And I'm still feeling really off. But I am feeling better, like, my head, I'm not so, like I had kind of a cold going on too, but I also had a stomach bug, so, it's been a couple of days, but I think after the show, I am gonna try to go get some rest, folks, so, yes, it is I am feeling much better, feeling better. Stay safe out there, folks, and just drink a lot of water, fluids, Pedialyte. If you guys don't know what Pedialyte is, I have never had Pedialyte in my life. My mom came over with a cute little care package because she's adorable, and yes, I'm 24 years old, but my mom still takes care of me sometimes. Because she's a mom, I told her I was sick, and she just had to come help me, and she's great. But she gave me these Pedialytes. Have you guys ever had Pedialytes? Love those things. We are gonna be back. Let's talk about it. Matt Gaetz, he drops this bill, and it talks about the ending of birthright citizenship, which is a huge win, and every Republican should be for this. And if they don't vote for this, then that's a pretty clear indicator that we gotta get them out of there. So, open border radicals here. They're going to start crying racism. They're going to start crying that this is unconstitutional, that it's against the 14th Amendment. Wrong, false. This is perfectly legal. And look, this is just going to simply keep America in step with the rest of the Western world. Here's some facts that you need to know. No country in Western Europe offers birthright citizenship without exceptions like the United States. So, no other country in Western Europe offers birthright citizenship without exceptions like the United States, okay? So, we're one of only a few countries that do this thing where, if you're an illegal immigrant, you can come here, have a baby, and that baby is automatically granted citizenship. France did away with birthright citizenship all the way back in 1993. So France doesn't Ireland or have it anymore. Ireland was the last of the EU countries to abolish birthright citizenship back in 2005. New Zealand, Australia both banned birthright citizenship in the most recent decade. So this is nothing new. Okay, this is nothing like exclusive to the United States, where you ban birthright citizenship. A lot of other countries don't have birthright citizenship. The 14th Amendment guarantees citizenship to those born in the United States. And, quote, there's two parts of the 14th Amendment. Everybody forgets this second part. And I've gone deep into this deep dive before about the 14th Amendment. And it really pisses me off when people don't read for themselves and they just adopt an ideology or adopt an idea, really, because I don't even know. It's not even an opinion. It's just cold hard facts here. There's two parts to this 14th Amendment. So it guarantees you citizenship, the 14th Amendment, to those born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. It was written to overturn the Dred Scott decision, and to ensure that slaves born, raised, and residing in America were made citizens. Okay, that's the whole purpose of the 14th Amendment. It was about 1800s, right, when this all was drafted. So it has nothing to do, it's not written to reward illegals who flout our immigration laws and by making it impossible to remove them. by having children here in this country. It was actual lawmakers who voted on the amendment at the time that made this clear in their statements that this is not about illegals coming here and having children in order to gain some sort of citizenship, anchor babies, as you would call them. So let's talk about it here on the Buzz. Good morning. Hey, folks, this is the Morning Buzz. You can text in at 309-451-9299. You can also see me live in studio. Yes, I am back. It's nice to see you guys back in the comment section. You can comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Rumble. We're everywhere. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm back. We've got so much to talk about. Before we took the break, I was talking about Matt Gaetz. He's got this bill out there, and I'm so ecstatic about it. I was talking about the 14th amendment probably a few months ago. I have an exclusive kind of sit down with you guys archived out there on the podcast, cities99.com. You can check it out, where I go through the 14th Amendment and what it means. So Matt Gaetz, he's got this bill, and it proposes that we end birthright citizenship for 400,000 children of illegals born here in the United States every year. That's a huge number. 400,000 children are born of illegals in the United States. These are anchor babies. So people come here, have children in order to stay in this country. Now, open border radicals are going to cry racism. They're going to say, this is racism. This is unconstitutional. No. This is legal. This is perfectly legal, this proposed bill. And it would just simply keep America in step with the rest of the country, or the world, the Western world. So no other country in Western Europe, these are facts, okay? No other country in Western Europe offers birthright citizenship without exceptions like the United States does. Okay, France did away with it, their birthright citizenship all the way back in 1993. Ireland was the last of the EU countries to abolish birthright citizenship in 2005. New Zealand and Australia both banned birthright citizenship in the recent decades here. So I'm going to be back giving you the facts about the 14th Amendment, giving you the facts that the birthright citizenship, it's illegal, and it's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional is what it is, and it goes directly against the 14th Amendment. And Matt Gaetz, he provides a very compelling argument for his bill here, and every Republican should be voting for this. I've got more on the bill here next on the Morning Buzz. Hey, if you're watching right now, go ahead and smash that like button. That would be of great appreciation. I would greatly appreciate if you smash that like button, share this out with your normie friends, with your normal friends. Friends who are subscribed to mainstream media outlets and who listen to mainstream. That's what I mean by your normal friends, your friends that aren't plugged into what we're doing here at Cities 92.9 and other alternative media sources. Give them this podcast as a gift. Say, here's your gift. Open your eyes to the woke nonsense. I do want to talk a little bit about this Lowe's employee. So this really stirred up a conversation this morning, and I'm curious how many of you work for corporate places, if you work for like a Lowe's company. I'm very fortunate in that I work for a family-owned company. The Zimmer family owns our station, and I love them dearly, right? They're good friends of mine, and I don't have to deal with this, right? If somebody were going to attack me in this studio here, I think that I would not be fired for engaging that person out of self-defense. I'd like to think that, right? So this Lowe's employee, she gets assaulted after she tries to stop some shoplifters, and she got fired for trying to stop these shoplifters over the company's zero tolerance policy. So a lot of these corporate places, I saw Circle K, they had some sort of lawsuit after this woman was fired. Somebody tried to get behind the desk of Circle K. The store clerk desk and steal some cigarettes from behind the counter. And she got fired because she engaged them, and she kind of like shoved them and tried to engage them a bit. And she got fired, and then she had a lawsuit. So this Lowe's employee, she got assaulted by some shoplifters, punched in the face a few times, actually. She got fired because she laid hands on the cart that was full of stolen merchandise that they were trying to push out of the Lowe's. So I've got that story. It's really heartbreaking to hear her. She's like choking up talking about these 3 thugs who assaulted her and how she loved her job that she worked at for 13 years, and Lowe's repays her by, what, firing her? Also, did you guys see Tucker Carlson? He talked with Ice Cube. So Ice Cube challenges official COVID, um, like the official COVID response, really, is what Ice Cube was talking about with Tucker and how they were responding to COVID-19. Tucker Carlson, um, sat down with Ice Cube, and I think that this is so pivotal because we're starting to see pop culture figures like Ice Cube, like Jason Aldean. We're starting to see more cultural figures come out and speak up against this nonsense that's going on, the woke nonsense. And recently, appearing as a guest in the most recent episode of Tucker on Twitter, world famous rapper Ice Cube joined the show host Tucker Carlson to discuss all kinds of topics that are considered in today's considered controversial in today's mainstream culture. Right, numerous subjects were covered, like the COVID-19 outbreak and their societal pressures, and their trying to force you to take the vaccine, kind of thing. And they also talked about BLM, corporate America, practicing the virtues that they claim to hold, but they don't actually hold, right? They claim that they hold these virtues, but they don't also uphold these virtues themselves. So I'm going to be playing some clips from that. Also, out of 9,000 Walgreens stores, that one San Francisco store has the highest crime rate out of all of them. So I think on Friday or sometime, I was talking about the show, or in the show. If you're watching right now, smash that like button. I was talking about how there were people who were stealing ice cream and frozen pizzas out of the grocery store. So they were going in, they were taking all the frozen pizzas off the shelves, and they have to lock them up now. Walgreens does. And CNN, I mean, this has gotten so bad to the point where CNN decided to do some actual journalism, a random act of journalism. And they went to a store where they saw all the frozen pizzas padlocked. And, I'm sure CNN, they were like, well, this can't be right. Why would Nancy Pelosi let this happen in her city? What is going on? So the senior correspondent, her name is Kyun Law, and she was investigating this, and she's a CNN reporter. And while she was there at this like it is the number one store with the highest crime rate out of all of the 9,000 Walgreens stores. Um, this one in San Francisco, I mean, could get robbed up to 12 times a day, and that's on the low end. So there was somebody the CNN respondent, um, senior correspondent, she witnessed three thefts in just like 3 minutes of her being there for the story. So I thought it was really funny to watch this. To watch the CNN reporter like go there and see it happen in real time. It's pretty funny. So I've got that here on the Morning Buzz as well. Let's get into Matt Gaetz. Then I want to get into Ice Cube. Then I want to get into the San Francisco pizzas and ice cream being padlocked away, and CNN actually doing some journalism here. Good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. 309-451-9299. That's the text line. You can always be a part of the show by texting into the show at that number. This is the Morning Buzz. I'm Kat Peterson. I've been out for a couple of days. I so do appreciate you guys. I love the love. I love the love you guys are sending me. Thanks so much for asking how I'm doing, for the prayers. I am feeling much better. I'm back. I'm back at it here in studio. And you can be a part of the show by texting in or seeing me live in studio, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. I'm there. You can comment uh, and send your comments in. Now, I do have a question for you. Should we get rid of birthright citizenship? Yes or no? Text that answer in or go ahead, throw it into the comments section. I was talking a little bit about Matt Gaetz. We are going to talk about his proposed bill here to end birthright citizenship. 400,000 children of illegals are born here in the United States every year. That's an alarming statistic. We are going to be getting into that. Plus, did you see Tucker Carlson having in this interview, this sit down with Ice Cube? This is huge for Tucker Carlson and for us as conservatives, because now pop culture is starting to realize how this woke nonsense has really started to change communities. Jason Aldean, we have Ice Cube, we've got Mel Gibson, we've got Sound of Freedom. That this culture is changing and it's energizing. And Ice Cube, he actually goes after things like the COVID-19 uh, protocols. He goes after things like these BLM narratives in this brand new Tucker Carlson interview. So they recently has sat down together for this episode of Tucker on Twitter. And he's a world famous rapper, Ice Cube, and he joined the show host Tucker Carlson to discuss all kinds of topics that are considered controversial in today's mainstream culture. But really, it's just what you're talking about. You're talking about how you were pressured by society, how you were compelled by maybe your boss, by a friend to get a mandatory vaccine, even though you didn't want one, about the COVID-19 lab leak, right, in the outbreak, and how they lied to you about that. We also have Ice Cube commenting on how BLM and corporate America, they don't practice the virtues they say they claim to hold. Okay, they don't hold any of these virtues. They don't practice these virtues that they claim they have. So we're going to talk about that here on the Morning Buzz. Plus, San Francisco really turning into a poop-filled city, literally, and figuratively. Like, CNN couldn't even ignore the problem anymore. So this was hilarious. I think I actually saw this. I don't watch CNN. I watch it at the gym sometimes when on the treadmill. I notice the headlines, and I saw this. There was this viral video, and I've talked about this viral video here on the program. Ice cream, frozen pizzas, they're padlocked at these Walmarts. And, you know, CNN said, "Well, this can't be right. Wait a second. Frozen frozen ice cream pizzas being padlocked. Now, why would Nancy Pelosi allow this to happen in her city, San Francisco?" Well, me being a senior correspondent, I have to go investigate, CNN did. And, and the clip is so hysterical. Like, how did you guys not know this was happening? We know that this has been going on in San Francisco for quite some time, but CNN, they witnessed 3 thefts in just a short period of time that they were there doing an investigation. So we'll get to all of that. Matt Gaetz, this proposed bill, he is supporting this argument to end birthright citizenship, and he cited a number of politicians involved in the 14th Amendment's writing and adoption. So, a couple of things here. Key figures like Senator Lyman Trumbull. Trumbull. He's actually of Illinois. Fun fact. A little bit of history for you. He argued that the term subject to the jurisdiction of the United States included the stipulation that individuals were not subject to any foreign power. So if you have parents who are of a foreign country, then that means that you are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, okay? That you were born here, that your parents were born here, right? That's what this means. Senator Trumbull of Illinois argued this when they created the 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment was created to apply to newly freed slaves who had already been lawfully permanent residents. They were already lawfully permanent. This was just further clarifying that, the overturning of the Dred Scott decision to ensure that free slaves, born, raised, and residing in the United States were made citizens. Okay, that's what the 14th Amendment does. We, the United States, we're one of the only countries. No other country in Western Europe offers birthright citizenship without exceptions like the United States. France did away with birthright citizenship back in 1993. That's before I was born. Ireland was the last one to get rid of birthright citizenship back in 2005. That was part of the EU countries, one of the last EU countries to abolish birthright citizenship. New Zealand, Australia banned birthright citizenship. So this wouldn't be anything new. The United States would just be keeping it simple. They would be in step with the rest of the Western world. Open border radicals are going to scream racism. They're going to scream that this is unconstitutional according to the 14th Amendment. That is a lie from the pits of hell. Okay. The 14th Amendment was not written to reward illegals who flout our immigration laws by making it impossible to remove them. This is not what the actual lawmakers who voted on this amendment and who created the amendment at the time made plain in their statements. In their statements about the amendment, it's clear that birthright citizenship is not for illegals to come here, have children, and have anchor babies. Okay, that's not what this 14th Amendment is about. So why is the left so fanatical about keeping birthright citizenship? Well, as The Atlantic, the far left media outlet, The Atlantic, wrote a few years back, birthright citizenship is mostly found in America because European powers established lenient laws to attract immigrants and displace native populations in the New World. So they said the quiet part out loud there, folks. They want to displace native populations in the New World. The legacy of birthright citizenship is one of displacing native populations. And that's still the purpose it serves for the left today. Okay, so they want to displace native populations. They don't like when native populations prosper. And when you displace them, when you take them away, and when you gather them all here in the United States, and that's what happens to third world. That's what creates third world countries. That's why I've talked to Romanian illegal immigrants, and they say that they make $300 a week or something or $300 a month or something like that. That's why they don't have the opportunities, because they don't have the people. There's no people there. So you're displacing these native populations because you're racist, and it's racist what they're doing when it comes to immigration. So every Republican should get behind this bill, this Representative Gaetz legislation. If they're not, they aren't serious about getting our border under control. Okay, so kudos to Representative Gaetz with that legislation. Under this new legislation, only children of U.S. nationals, refugees, legal immigrants, would be given citizenship at birth. Okay, do want to shift gears. Let's talk about Ice Cube. So I've got the clip here. Tucker on Twitter. He had a sit down with Ice Cube, which I think is just amazing. Conservative politics, pop culture. Tucker Carlson is so big. Now, one thing that I want to do is this for you. And Ice Cube, he's a world famous rapper. Okay, that's who he is. He's a world famous rapper, an actor. I like him. He's in a lot of things that I like. Now, they covered a lot of topics ranging from societal pressures to get the COVID-19 vaccine, response to the COVID outbreak. They talked about BLM, corporate America. So let's take a listen to the interview. Here we go.
In
my circle, and try to get them to try to convince them that they need to convince me that I need to take a different position. So that's kind of how I get.
On what topics?
It's been on, the vaccine.
The Hollywood Reporter says actor Ice Cube is saying no to a $9 million payday because he won't say yes to the COVID vaccine. The actor and rapper was set to co-star in a new comedy, Oh Hell No, alongside Jack Black. But when producers requested all cast members get a COVID vaccine, Ice Cube backed out.
Why wouldn't you take the vax? You had a direct order to take it. You were told to take it.
Yeah, I'm not real good with direct orders, but on a whole nother note,
but it was a command.
They
told you. They couldn't have been clearer about it.
Yeah, it was pretty clear. Did you take it?
Of course not.
Yeah, no, it wasn't ready. It was 6 month, kind of rush job.
There you are, folks. There's Ice Cube. And this is so important because Tucker Carlson is using his platform, Tucker on Twitter, to reach an entirely different audience, to try to change the culture a bit. And I think that was incredible. Ice Cube answered with a resounding no, I did not take that vaccine. And he at one point in the interview, Tucker Carlson actually asks Ice Cube if he ever gave money to politicians. And he said no. And he says, I don't believe that politicians have my best interest in mind. They have hidden agendas and they owe a lot of people a lot of favors. The rapper also said that while he at first had high hopes and excitement for the future of Black people in the United States following the election of Barack Obama in 2008, he realized that not much had changed for the Black community. So Tucker Carlson has teased his full sit-down interview with Ice Cube is going to be released for his next show. So he just kind of released a 12-minute sit-down where they're driving around. And I think it's an awesome episode. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's on Twitter. So San Francisco, quite literally a poop-filled city. CNN, they couldn't ignore the crime problem anymore in California. So what they did, they went out to San Francisco and they decided to do a report about the Walgreens being robbed. What are they robbing? Ice cream and frozen pizzas. They're padlocked down. So CNN actually went out there and did some journalism, and the video clip is going to shock you and it's going to make you laugh here on the Morning Buzz next. Good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in to the live stream. I so do appreciate it. If you are watching, go ahead, smash that like button. If you're watching, that would be of great help. Now, I will be getting to some of your comments here. I do want to tell you about this story coming up. Lowe's, this employee, she was fired. Now, apparently she has gotten rehired after all of the backlash, but this employee, she got assaulted here by some shoplifters and she got fired over the company's zero tolerance policy. So we'll be talking about that here coming up in just a bit. I'm going to go refill my coffee. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. A Lowe's employee. So imagine you're working at Lowe's, imagine you're working at Walmart, imagine you're working at Circle K, and you get assaulted by some shoplifters, okay? And you'd think that your company has your back, okay? No. You get fired from that company because of their zero tolerance policy. Oh, okay. That's exactly what happened to this Lowe's employee. Now, apparently, she got rehired after all of this backlash, but she was working for the company for 13 years. And what she tried to do was just stop some shoplifters, and she got fired because she put her hands on the cart full of stolen merchandise that these three thugs were trying to push out of the Lowe's that she was working at. So we're going to get to that story. Plus, San Francisco, an actual poop filled city. I mean that literally and figuratively, folks. San Francisco is disgusting. And I have another example of that. And it turns out that it's not just me saying it nowadays, it's CNN. So, CNN, they had to go to this Walgreens because word got out that there's videos of ice cream and frozen pizza being stolen from these Walgreens. And, the CNN correspondent, she was like, well, why would Nancy Pelosi let this happen in her city? I have to go investigate. So she actually went out. There was a CNN correspondent who went out and investigated this. And it is so funny to watch because here she is. She's like, this is actually happening. This woman is getting red pilled in real time. 309-451-9299. I have a special guest in studio. Her name is Pam Kuchenmeister. I think I said that right. Right, Pam? Got it. Perfect. And Pam is joining me here in studio. She dropped off some peanut butter brittle. Brittle? Fudge. Yeah, just get real close to the mic there, right there. Yep. And you can grab it and pull it towards you. Yep. And she dropped off some peanut butter fudge. And we're talking about the Greater Peoria Honor Flight today. And this is something good for veterans. And we just came off of our Seats for Soldiers. It was a 36-hour long broadcast. And it was so fun seeing you all out there and collecting donations. You can still give some donations at cities929.com, or you can text the word SEATS, SEATS, to the Jimmy John's text line. That's 77,000, and donate to the nonprofit. It's the national nonprofit called Hope for the Warriors, and they help out with things like PTSD. But this is something that's happening here locally, and it's something I've never really heard of before, and she's an expert on it. It's the Greater Peoria Honor Flight. Tell me about it, Pam, and what is the Greater Peoria Honor Flight, and what does it do?
Well, the Honor Flight is all over the U.S. I think it's in at least 48 states. And Peoria, Springfield, Moline, and Marion, Illinois are the ones in Chicago that I know of. So locally, we have Peoria. The Peoria one was founded by Phyllis Perino and her two sisters. Their mother was very patriotic, and to honor her, and I believe it's been over 10 years, they've been taking flights out of the Peoria airport. It's a one-day flight, and the veterans are free. There is absolutely zero cost for the veteran to go. The night before, they have a pre-flight dinner, and they are allowed to invite their guests. I think there's a limit of maybe 4. And that event is just amazing. They do the missing soldier through the ROTC with the table setting. And they have something unique called angels on the flight. If someone, for example, my father's deceased, they take their picture on the plane and get a photo at their monument. And you get to talk about that person. So the pre-flight dinner is patriotic. They're fed. Again, the veterans free. The family or friends do incur a small cost. So they get ready for their morning flight, which is be at the airport at 4 a.m. They are allowed to bring one guardian. That guardian has to pay, and I think the current cost is $500. Again, no cost to the veteran.
Yeah.
And the veteran often chooses a son, a daughter, a grandchild, which is really heartwarming to see, and no wife, may go, no husband may go, just as a safety issue, I think. If the veteran is in a wheelchair, I think the last flight they had over 60 wheelchairs for 78 veterans. So the accommodations are there. We are looking for the World War II veterans that may still be out there. And there are a few because 2 went in May on the flight. We are looking for Korean veterans, which are starting to dwindle. And the majority of the flight now is Vietnam veterans. The current count I saw was 1,400 Vietnam veterans on the waiting list, and this is Peoria only. Greater Peoria Honor Flight has a waiting list of 1,400 veterans.
Wow. And this honor flight, so how many veterans are on a flight, and where does the flight go?
Okay, so there's usually about 78, 75-ish, upper 70s that go.
So it's like a commercial type plane.
It is Sun Country plane that comes from Minneapolis. I had never heard of Sun Country before this, but they do the flight from Peoria to, now I'm going to forget if it's Dulles or Reagan Airport that they fly directly in. And I don't want to spoil too much. If there are veterans listening, they get a royal welcome in many ways.
Yeah.
So you're up early. The guardian is in charge of you, and you are to not leave your veteran at all. Now, I took my neighbor in 2018, and I did have to use the bathroom and tell one of the males in the flight, please watch my veteran. Another neat thing is if your veteran has any health concerns, they have medical staff, they have doctors, nurses, EMTs on that flight. And they are there the whole day walking around. So if you need help, you flag one down and you can get help for your veteran. And there have been a few women on the flight. There aren't as many as the men, but it is an kind of overwhelming day for many of the veterans. But when you're with your peers, there's something that happens. And those Vietnam veterans, I like to, my style is invitational. So if I see a hat on a veteran or a shirt, I go up and start talking to them. And the Vietnam veterans, first of all, they say, no, I don't want to go. I have had zero success. I say, why? And they say, I don't deserve to go. Somebody else who's younger or older needs to go. And the look in their eyes, Kat, it just kills me inside because they often turn away.
Yeah.
And I know it's the memories.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the way they were treated when they came home.
Yeah.
The spitting, the yelling, the hitting.
See, and Pam, I wasn't even around for all of that. And I just kind of hear these, it's almost like horror stories about how people were treated. And, I talked with some people out at the Seats for Soldiers event, and there was one man specifically, his name was Justin, and he was a post 9/11 veteran. So he was in Afghanistan. And I don't know if it was after Vietnam, because even those guys, I think, are treated very poorly in, trying to get services and things like that. It just seems like there's a poor treatment of veterans. Now, it might have been a catalyst, I guess. And it all started when the Vietnam vets came back. Now, I don't know if maybe I'm really speaking out of turn, but I've talked to, some veterans from Vietnam, and they all kind of echo that they were treated, poorly, and that they don't deserve anything. And it's like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, I would not have, signed my name on a line to give up all of my freedoms essentially that's what it is. It's giving up all of your freedoms so that way you can go serve this country for our freedoms. Why we can have, ice cream at any time at night. You know what I mean? Like, we can wake up in the middle of the night and say, I feel like an ice cream cone at McDonald's today.
Yeah.
Right. That's not something that you can go do in places like Syria or Afghanistan or other places in the world. And I don't know. I noticed that on on my interviews and in my adventures here just the past couple of days at Seats for Soldiers, talking with some of these veterans, even from post 9/11, like they're
Right.
not treated very well at all. And I don't know if it was a catalyst or what, but this is something that's very good for the community, the greater Peoria area. It's for Peoria
Well,
veterans.
it last May or just in May, they actually had two brothers who were the World War II veterans live in another state. I know one was from Florida. I think the other was from Louisiana. I don't know if their family was up here, but they actually went on the Peoria flight and they hadn't seen each other for 2 years.
Wow.
So, in thinking of the Afghanistan veterans, there was a young veteran who went on the flight a couple of years ago because he has PSTD so bad, and they wanted that as a part of his healing journey. And so, if there are medical things, if a veteran is in poor health, they will go to the top of the list. And so, it's I have just chills every time I watch a homecoming at the airport. They get as many people to show up. There are signs, there are honor guards, there are bagpipes. I want everyone really to experience it one time, even if you didn't know somebody. But if you know somebody, it's even better. And I sponsored a World War II veteran in 2019. My dad has been gone since 75. He was a World War II Army medic, and he joined the Army, I found on his discharge papers, before the war started because he was in a poor part of Southern Illinois with no opportunity. And when I looked at those discharge papers, he served 4.5 years. I thought he just served a little bit during the war. So it just, I felt when he turned 100, since he wasn't here, I wanted to sponsor a vet. So I called Phyllis and I said, I want a World War II Army veteran named John. And it got to be specific, you know? She goes, well, got a World War II Army veteran named Wade. I said, Wade is 4 letters like John. That's the guy I'm sponsoring.
Aw.
She said, come to the pre-flight dinner. And that's where I met Wade. And at the time, he was 98.
Oh, wow.
And he just passed away last November at nearly 102. And I
Aw.
had a friendship with him. He was an only child. I was an only child.
Aw.
And it was definitely a God
ordained. Yeah, God said,
appointment.
you know what? I need to get these two in fellowship with each other. And that sounds
Yes.
like a great thing that this Greater Peoria Honor Flight does. Pam Kuchenmeister, thank you so much for joining me. She came in, folks, and she brought some peanut butter fudge, and I can't wait to try it. I haven't been able to eat a whole lot because I've been sick, so this is going to be a nice treat for me. Pam, thanks so much for joining me here, and tell me a little bit of how we can find out more about this. Is there like a website, a
Yes,
phone number?
there is a website with everything you need, www.greaterpeoriahonorflight. I think it's org, could be com. The application for the veteran is on there. The application for the guardian is on there. All the information you need. And if you are a Vietnam veteran and you're in good health, I suggest you get that application in now. If you are a veteran not in good health, get that in now. They ask for any health concerns, so that'll flag them that that's somebody we need to get. The next 2 honor flights are September 6th and October 10th. I know the September 6th one, all the veterans have been notified already. So.
Well, wonderful, Pam. We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, folks, I will be getting to your comment here, Michael. Some Vietnam veterans may feel repelled by anything to do with the war because their country pulled them into it via a draft. Could you imagine being forced into a conflict like that? Michael, thanks so much for commenting. Yes, a great point you raised. We're going to get to that comment, plus a few other things I have in store for you here on the Morning Buzz. We are going to be getting to Hunter Biden's lawyer smoking a big old fat bong. Yes, I didn't think that I would have to read that headline, but I definitely am reading it this morning. This is the Morning Buzz. Michael, I absolutely love your comment here. You say that some Vietnam veterans may feel repelled by anything to do with the war because their country pulled them into it via a draft. Could you imagine being forced into a conflict like that? Yeah, well, we were talking with Pam Kuchenmeister here, and she was telling us about the Greater Peoria Honor Flight. And it's something that I had no idea existed, but you can learn more about it at Greater Peoria Honor Flight. And she said that this Greater Peoria Honor Flight, what this does, it provides healing. Healing in regards to just what you said there, Michael. Some Vietnam vets may feel repelled by anything to do with the war because they were pulled in via a draft. And, could you imagine being forced into something like that? Yeah. So this Greater Peoria Honor Flight, they get treated, very well, a welcome home. Maybe they get this welcome home. Maybe they get like an honor, some sort of honor that they didn't quite get when they got back from Vietnam, way back when. So it's greaterpeoriahonorflight.org if you guys want more information. Go check it out. Now, before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about San Francisco. I'm sorry I have to do this to you, but we're going to do it. So in San Francisco, Walgreens, what they have started to do is lock up ice cream and frozen pizzas with padlocks because people are stealing them. And San Francisco is a poop filled city. Yes, I mean that literally, figuratively, it's bad. CNN, they couldn't ignore the problem anymore that San Francisco has just gone way down. And what they decided to do was go out there and investigate. We're going to do a CNN investigation. So they sent out a senior correspondent to go investigate. It's quite funny because, I mean, I've known for quite some time that San Francisco is just a crime riddled and that they aren't doing well there and that, it's because of Democrat policies. But in real time, we have a CNN reporter getting red pilled essentially. Like she's becoming more conservative, I think, in just seeing three thefts, three thefts right in front of her, like all in the time period of her just doing this package, this news package. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Richie Greenberg walked into a San Francisco Walgreens when he saw in the frozen food section this.
Chains, heavy chains that went from padlock to padlock on both sides of the doors. And this was bizarre, something I'd never seen before. This is just more icing on the cake, telling us that rampant crime has become a regular part of life.
So typical that in the 30 minutes we were at this Walgreens, we watched three people, including this man, steal.
Did that guy pay? Did that guy pay? He didn't pay.
Walgreens says this Richmond neighborhood store with aisles of products like mustard locked behind plexiglass has the highest theft rate of all their nearly 9,000 U.S. stores, hit more than a dozen times a day. When thieves turned to cleaning out ice cream and frozen burritos, workers grew so frustrated they resorted to the chains. They were ordered down by corporate because of the negative messaging. But Walgreens isn't the only retailer impacted in San Francisco.
There you have it, folks. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's amazing to see this CNN correspondent just completely get red pilled. I mean, you have one onlooker in the news package here. He said that you're seeing products like coffee behind plexiglass, and it's starting to look like a police state. Odd that rampant crime that is a result of progressive voters electing progressive politicians to enact progressive policies that lead to crime would resemble a police state. I just find it odd. Like, I know it, you know it, they know it, but what are they going to do about it? That's my thing here, CNN. What are you going to do about it? Are you still going to be mouthpieces for the Democrat Party, for Nancy Pelosi? It's also odd that CNN would allow this to all be said on air. CNN reports that residents are beginning to be, they're fed up. Residents are fed up in San Francisco, which is true-ish. Voters have recalled a school board member. They've also recalled the district attorney there in San Francisco because they had gone woke. The school board member, the DA, they had gone way too woke, even by San Francisco standards. And though instead of acknowledging the pushback, that this is pushback from voters, in both cases, I guess this is Republican influence. Yes, because they blamed Republican billionaires for the recalls of these two sitting elected officials. Yes, Republican influence in San Francisco. Nothing is ever the fault of the progressive policies. Like, when are you going to shut up and say that this is a direct result of progressive policies and progressive politicians? If I were a journalismer, if I were a CNN journalismer, I would sit down with Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi and make them watch these Walgreen videos. I'd also sit down and make them listen to this clip that I've got here. And I'm sorry I've got to do this to you, but I think it's pretty funny. I do have to take a break. I'm going to have to take a break, but I've played this clip before, and it's of a homeless guy. And he talks about how he migrated from Texas, went to California because California makes it more lucrative to be homeless. It's more affordable to be homeless in California. So I've got that clip plus a few other news stories on the other side. This is the Morning Buzz. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the live stream. Like I said, we are going to be back with the San Francisco man. He explains how he is teaching teens to use Narcan. Yes, because he wants to get them hooked on fentanyl because Coke is too expensive. I don't know. He talks about how he lives a day in the life as a homeless man in California. So we are going to be talking about that. Now, there was one story that I wanted to bring up. One of them was to do with Parkside Junior High School. So this is a story that is up on our website. I am going to put the link in the comments section. I recommend you go read it and share it out with your friends. Parkside Junior High School, there was a student who was suspended after he tried to get help from the office to try to prevent a fight that he was in. So he got suspended for fighting, but he had asked for help prior to getting into that fight. And what they did, there's a link if you guys want to go read it, as they essentially sat him down in front of a computer and told him to write down a summary of what had happened leading up to this fight. So it's a long, drawn out story. But point is that this was this all could have been prevented, I think, had the school acted professionally and with some sort of, policy in place. I know that there's got to be a policy when it comes to students coming to the office saying that they're being bullied or fought or something like that, or explaining an incident where a student lays hands. I mean, my first instinct would have been to call the parents. Or of both children in that incident. But Gonzalez says that she wasn't called, she wasn't told about this until there was another incident where the student punched the other kid. So if you're watching right now, go ahead and smash that like button. We're going to be back here talking a little bit about this fentanyl homeless guy. I wanted to play that clip one more time just to give you guys a reminder about what's going on in San Francisco. A couple of things you need to know about today. Speaker McCarthy says that the House is readying impeachment of Joe Biden. He says, quote, that this is rising to a level of impeachment inquiry, something that we haven't seen since Richard Nixon. Joe Biden used the weaponization of the government to benefit his family and deny congressional oversight. So that's something that you need to keep an eye out on today. See if Joe Biden gets impeached in the House. Hunter Biden's lawyer is seen ripping a bong. Yes, that's a headline this morning. Okay, we'll be back in just a bit. Woo, it's going to be a warm one. I'm going to blame these MAGA Republicans. It's so hot outside. The world should never have a temperature above 75 degrees. Dang Republicans, they're killing our planet. Yes, Hillary Clinton coming out and saying it's Republicans' fault that it's above 80 degrees in the middle of July or the end of July. Like, it's like the hottest time of the year, folks. And Hillary Clinton is like saying that it's MAGA Republicans' fault. My God. Before we took the break, I told you that I was going to play this clip for you. I'm not going to have time for it. Maybe tomorrow if I get around to it. But it was a homeless man in San Francisco essentially saying that he moved to San Francisco from Texas because, well, it's cheaper for him as a homeless man to live as a homeless man. And he wanted to live life to its fullest as a homeless man in California. And California allows him to do that. All right. That's going to do it for us today. Hey, be on the lookout. Maybe Joe Biden gets impeached today. We'll see. Speaker McCarthy says that the House is readying for impeachment of Joe Biden, and that he says that this is rising to a level of impeachment inquiry, something we haven't seen since Richard Nixon. Joe Biden has weaponized the government to benefit his family and deny congressional oversight. That's Kevin McCarthy's words. So be on the lookout for that today. You guys have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Be sure to visit cities929.com and go out to the McLean County Fair. I think it's this weekend. So I'll be out there. Seeing you guys. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye. I love you.